When you see them walking down the aisle, what do you think you're going to feel? A great joy, because the last time we were in Westminster Abbey, my heart sank when I saw those two boys walking behind the coffin. Some friendships are the kind you'd never expect, and that perfectly sums up the bond between Elton John and Princess Diana. Their relationship weathered decades of misunderstandings and bumps, yet their closeness remained unshaken. While Diana rarely spoke about their dynamic, Elton always praised her. Recently, though, he shared lesser-known facts about the late princess that no one could have imagined. From her wit to her warmth, Elton's revelations shed light on sides of Diana we never knew. So what exactly did Elton John say about Princess Diana? Stick around as we dive into the details. The confession: Diana and Elton's friendship was, one would say, highly publicized back in the late 1980s. It was so unexpected that it turned heads and started conversations that have not been put to rest even to this very day. The People's Princess and the legendary singer Elton John, the unexpected duo that even stirred things up within the royal family, prompting King Charles to speak out. But more on this later on in the video. Now, after their relationship clearly stood the test of time and following the tragic passing of Diana, we all know Elton has spoken highly of her. But just a couple of weeks ago, he made an unexpected confession about the princess. Curious to find out what he said? Stay tuned. Their friendship dates back as far as 1981, and it was instant friendship at first sight for the two. They met at Prince Andrew's birthday party at Windsor Castle. I think you played at Prince Andrew's 21st? Yes, at Windsor Castle. Yeah. And their meeting was so memorable that the night they met, the two danced the Charleston alone for 20 minutes straight without getting tired. And that was how their relationship was, always filled with adventures. But like every human relationship, theirs was also complicated and not without its fair share of drama. But before we get ahead of ourselves, how did Elton come close to the royals? Well, Elton actually had been close buddies with the royals since the 1970s. Princess Margaret and the Queen Mother were coincidentally very big fans of Elton's music, according to the Press Association, with the Queen Mother even reportedly dancing to his music. So yeah, they were that close. Elton even got invited to attend art events with Princess Margaret and was a regular at Charles S. Prince Trust annual concerts. On this particular occasion where Elton and Diana met, he had been asked to perform with percussionist Ray Cooper, and when he arrived, he found a quiet disco in the ballroom. Before he knew it, he found himself dancing with Princess Anne and Queen Elizabeth II, who clutched her handbag as they all grooved to Bill Haley's Rock Around the Clock. Elton later wrote in his autobiography that he tried his best to come up with a facial expression that suggested this was a perfectly normal state of affairs. But everything changed when Princess Diana showed up. Elton John wrote that she was blessed with an incredible social ease and had the ability to make people feel completely comfortable in her company. I haven't experienced many people in my life who have that ability, but she could walk into a room of people and make them feel as if everything was great. That night in 1981, when she arrived in the ballroom, they immediately clicked. They ended up pretending to dance the Charleston while mocking the disco's feebleness. From that moment, a bond was formed between Elton John and Princess Diana, one that would carry them through the highs of their careers and the tragedies in their lives. Elton later wrote that over the years he knew her, she was fabulous company, the best dinner-party guest, incredibly indiscreet, and a real gossip. He mentioned that you could ask her anything, and she would tell you. But Diana wasn't the only royal Elton danced with that evening. He recalled that Princess Anne came up to him and asked if he would like to dance, and he couldn't refuse. They went into a disco where the music was so quiet that it was hardly audible. As they were bobbing up and down, the Queen approached with an equerry and asked if they minded if they joined them. Just as this happened, the music changed to Bill Haley's Rock Around the Clock, and Elton found himself dancing to it with the Queen of England. In a recent interview with Time, Elton recounted meeting a young Prince Harry at Kensington Palace. He shared that he first met an extremely shy and sweet Prince Harry at a private lunch hosted by Princess Diana for Gianni Versace and him many years ago. Elton expressed the joy of watching the young boy grow up to inherit his mother's warmth, sense of humor, and courage to champion the causes he truly believes in. Over the years of their friendship, the famous friends were often spotted together at major events, such as chatting backstage at the 1985 Live Aid concert and John performing for Diana at a 1997 concert for the Prince's Trust. However, it was behind closed doors that their bond truly deepened. John recalled a dinner party he had hosted with Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone as guests, along with a very single Princess Diana. John described the scene. Richard Gere and Diana seemed immediately drawn to one another. They ended up sitting in front of the fireplace, engaged in an intense conversation. But soon, John noticed something strange in the room. He observed that Stallone seemed increasingly uncomfortable, shooting angry glances at the pair. John said that the tension was palpable, and before long, a fight almost broke out between the two movie stars. Stallone, visibly irritated, eventually left in a huff, and throughout the chaos, Diana remained calm and composed. John remarked that Diana either didn't realize what was happening or perhaps she was so accustomed to such situations that it didn't faze her. This moment made John realize the extraordinary effect Diana had on people, particularly men. He recalled being taken aback by how men would seemingly lose their composure in her presence. John noted that it wasn't just her beauty, but there was an intangible quality she possessed that left men utterly captivated. Despite her allure, John recognized that Diana's true power lay in her humanity. He pointed to the famous photograph of Diana holding an AIDS patient's hand at the London Middlesex Hospital, noting how it was a subtle yet powerful statement that changed public attitudes towards AIDS. He believed that Diana wasn't necessarily trying to make a political statement, but her simple act of kindness shifted perceptions on a global scale. While Diana's compassion and humanity cemented her place in the hearts of many, her personal relationships, just like every relationship, were complex. Even her close friendship with Elton John, which seemed unshakable, was not spared from misunderstandings and tensions. One such moment would come to define the challenges their relationship faced. 4. Elton and Diana's relationship faced challenges despite their deep friendship. A rift developed between the two, which Tina Brown referred to as a deep freeze in Vanity Fair. This occurred over a 1997 coffee table book, Rock and Royalty, created with Gianni Versace to benefit the Elton John AIDS Foundation. The book included photographs of the royal family, including one of Diana with her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, alongside images of semi-nude male models. Diana had initially agreed to write the book's foreword, but she unexpectedly withdrew at the last minute. John was told that Diana was concerned the book would upset the Queen, but he felt that wasn't the full story. He remembered Diana telling him that she had no idea about the contents of the book, which he knew was not true. He said that Gianni Versace had shown her the entire book, and Diana had expressed her love for it. Feeling confused and hurt by her sudden withdrawal, John decided to confront her directly. He wrote to her, expressing how much money she had cost the AIDS Foundation by pulling out and reminding her that she had seen the book and approved of it. In response, Diana sent a formal and severe letter beginning with, "Dear Mr. John." John was infuriated by the cold tone of the letter, as he had considered Diana a dear friend. But his anger ran deeper than just the formal response. He grew concerned for her well-being as he observed that she seemed to be distancing herself from people who would offer her honest advice. Instead, she appeared to be surrounding herself with people who told her what she wanted to hear. John, reflecting on his own experiences, knew that this was not a healthy situation for her. Despite the tension, the rift between them remained, as John explained that it was something that often happens between friends. He admitted that they were both too proud to pick up the phone and mend the situation. Sadly, it wasn't until tragedy struck, Gianni Versace's brutal murder in July 1997, that the two friends were able to reconcile. As soon as the news broke, John found Diana on the other end of the phone. He was unsure how she had obtained his number, as they had only recently acquired their house in Nice. Diana, who was staying on Dodi Fade's yacht in Saint-Tropez, immediately reached out to check on him and asked if he had spoken to Donatella Versace. Then, with a sincere tone, she apologized, saying it was a silly falling out and that they should be friends again. Friends once more, Diana sat beside John at Versace's funeral. During the service, a photographer captured a now famous image of Diana leaning toward John, seemingly to console him. Despite their shared grief, they found moments of lightness, something that had always defined their friendship. Their reconciliation rekindled their correspondence, with Elton sending Diana a thank you note. In her reply, she offered to be a patron of his AIDS Foundation and asked him to support a landmine charity she was involved with. Elton later recalled that they had planned to meet in London for lunch to discuss their charitable work, but tragically, that meeting never happened. On August 31, 1997, John was woken by the sound of the fax machine. A handwritten message from a friend in London expressed sorrow over some terrible news. Confused, he turned on the television and learned that his beloved friend, Princess Diana, had tragically died in a car crash. Just 6 weeks later, John found himself at her funeral, performing Candle in the Wind. John rewrote the song, which was originally about Marilyn Monroe, as a tribute to Diana after her death. The lyrics, rewritten by his collaborator Bernie Taupin, had been changed to honor Diana. We all remember Elton singing that song at Diana's funeral, and at the time, I don't know about you, but I just thought, oh, Elton's rewritten it. But of course, he hadn't. You did those. The new lyrics of Candle in the Wind captured the way Diana called out to the nation and brought comfort to those in pain. Reflecting on that day, Elton John said it was one of the most challenging performances of his life. He admitted that for 4 minutes, the entire world's attention would be on him, making it the biggest moment of his career. But he also knew it wasn't about him, it was about honoring Diana. The sight of her sons, William and Harry, left the strongest impression on him. He recalled how the two boys, only 15 and 12 at the time, looked completely stunned. He was appalled by the way they were treated, forced to walk behind their mother's coffin through the streets of London, expected to remain emotionless and look straight ahead. He thought it was a cruel way to treat two children grieving the loss of their mother. To this day, John feels a deep connection to Diana through her sons. In August 2019, after an incident involving Harry's privacy, he spoke out publicly, saying Diana had been one of his dearest friends and that he felt a strong obligation to protect Harry and his family from the invasive press behavior that contributed to her tragic death. After Diana's passing, John remained close to her family. In 2007, William and Harry joined him on stage at Wembley Stadium during a tribute concert honoring their mother. A special welcome to the two people whose idea it was to do this wonderful event, ladies and gentlemen, Their Royal Highnesses Prince William and Prince Harry, he announced. Though he had only met Prince William a couple of times, John was present at William's wedding to Kate Middleton in 2011. In 2017, he marked the 20th anniversary of Diana's passing with a heartfelt Instagram post, writing, 20 years ago today, the world lost an angel. His charity, the Elton John AIDS Foundation, also paid tribute to Diana, acknowledging her immense contributions to the fight against AIDS. Through his continued support and tributes, John ensures that Diana's legacy lives on. Now, let's talk about one of the most unforgettable moments after her death, Candle in the Wind. Remember when we said the entire royal family, including Prince Charles, had issues with Elton John and Diana's friendship? Well, that tension became painfully obvious after Diana's death during her funeral preparations. Don't go anywhere, this is about to get juicy. We all know the royal family is no stranger to drama, and drama seems to follow them wherever they go. A prime example is the tragic tale of Princess Diana. It's been 27 years since she was tragically killed in a car accident, yet new details about her life, influence, and even her death continue to surface. One of the most intense moments at her funeral was Elton John's performance of Candle in the Wind, rewritten especially for Diana. But did you know the British royal family didn't want him to perform? Their reason? They thought the song would be too sentimental. Documents from the National Archives of the United Kingdom, accessed by Sky News, recently shed light on Buckingham Palace's concerns about the performance. In fact, the hesitation was so strong that Westminster Abbey had a backup saxophonist on standby, ready to replace Elton John if his tribute was vetoed. Reverend Dr. Wesley Carr, however, took a stand. In a note to a senior member of the royal household, he stressed the importance of Elton John's performance. This is a crucial point in the service, and we ask for boldness, he wrote. This is where the unexpected happens, something from the modern world that the princess represented. Regarding Candle in the Wind, the Reverend made his case clear. The best option would be Elton John's music, known to millions and loved by the princess. Elton wrote new words for the melody, which is being sung across the country in Diana's honor. Dr. Carr believed that Elton's tribute would be more than just a performance, it would be a creative and generous gesture for the countless people mourning Diana's loss. Ultimately, the Reverend's argument prevailed, and Elton's rendition became one of the most memorable moments of the funeral. Elton John's performance at Princess Diana's funeral remains one of the most unforgettable moments in royal history. But who is Elton John, the man whose music could move an entire nation? To understand his role in this poignant tribute, we must look into the remarkable life of a musical icon, one whose journey from a small town in England to global stardom redefined and solidified what it truly means to be a legend. Background on Elton John. Sir Elton Hercules John, born Reginald Kenneth Dwight on March 25, 1947, is a British singer, songwriter, and pianist. He was born in Pinner, Middlesex, as the eldest child of Stanley Dwight and the only child of Sheila Eileen. Raised in a council house by his maternal grandparents, his early years were shaped by music and a somewhat restrictive household. His parents married in 1945, and when the family moved to a nearby semi-detached house, young Elton's love for music continued to grow. Elton was educated at Pinwood Junior School, Rediford School, and Pinner County Grammar School until the age of 17, when he left just before his A-level examinations to pursue a career in music. His father, a Royal Air Force officer, tried to steer him toward a more conventional career, such as banking, but Elton resisted. He later admitted that his flamboyant stage costumes and performances were his way of letting go after a strict upbringing. Both of Elton's parents were musically inclined. His father had been a trumpet player in the Bob Miller Band, a semi-professional big band that played at military dances. The Dwights were keen record buyers, exposing Elton to the popular singers and musicians of the time. As a young boy, he began playing his grandmother's piano, and within a year, he could pick out the Skater's Waltz by ear. By age 8, he was performing at parties and family gatherings, and soon after, he began formal piano lessons. At school, Elton showed remarkable musical talent, including an ability to compose melodies. He gained some notoriety for playing like Jerry Lee Lewis at school functions. At age 11, he won a junior scholarship to the Royal Academy of Music. According to one of his instructors, Elton promptly played back a 4-page piece by George Friedrich Handel after hearing it only once, as if he were a gramophone record. For the next 5 years, he attended Saturday classes at the Academy in central London. He enjoyed playing pieces by Frédéric Chopin and Johann Sebastian Bach and sang in the choir, but he was not otherwise a diligent classical student. At times, he would skip classes and ride around on the London Underground. Though some instructors described him as a model student, Elton eventually took lessons from a private tutor alongside his academy classes. He left before taking his final exams. Elton's mother, though strict, had a vivacious and free-spirited personality, unlike his often absent father, who showed little interest in his son. When Elton was 14, his parents divorced, and his mother later married a local painter, Fred Fairbrother. Fred was a caring and supportive stepfather whom Elton affectionately called Durf, Fred spelled backward. The family moved into a flat at 3A Frome Court, an 8-unit apartment building near their previous homes. It was in this modest setting that Elton wrote the songs that would launch his career as a rock star. He soon formed the blues band Bluesology, marking the beginning of his legendary journey in music. In 1962, Elton John joined the blues band Bluesology but left in 1967 to embark on a solo career. That same year, he coincidentally met Bernie Taupin after they both responded to an advertisement in the music magazine New Musical Express. Shortly after meeting, the two formed a collaboration, and for 2 years, they wrote songs for other artists while Elton worked as a session musician. In 1969, Elton released his debut album, Empty Sky, and a year later, he formed the Elton John Band, also releasing his first hit single, Your Song. His critical and commercial success peaked in the 1970s when he released a string of chart-topping albums in both the US and the UK. This era began with Honky Chateau and culminated with Rock of the West Highs. His success continued into the 1980s and 1990s, with multiple hit singles and albums in both decades, and he has continued recording new music ever since. Beyond his solo career, Elton found immense success in musical films and theatre, composing music for The Lion King in 1994, Aida in 2000, and Billy Elliot the Musical in 2005. From 2018 to 2023, he embarked on his final tour, Farewell Yellow Brick Road, which became the highest-grossing tour of all time at the time. In 2019, his life and career were dramatized in the biopic Rocketman, where he was portrayed by Taron Egerton. Aside from being a legendary musician, Elton has also been a passionate HIV/AIDS charity fundraiser since the late 1980s. He established the Elton John AIDS Foundation in 1992, which has raised over £300 million since its inception. A year later, he began hosting his annual AIDS Foundation Academy Awards party, which has since become one of the biggest and most high-profile Oscar parties in Hollywood. Over the years, his foundation has raised more than $275 million to fight the disease. In the music industry, Elton has had over 50 top 40 hits on the UK singles chart and the US Billboard Hot 100, including 9 number 1 hits in both countries, as well as 7 consecutive number 1 albums in the US. With over 300 million records sold worldwide, he is one of the best-selling music artists of all time and the most successful solo artist in the history of the US Billboard charts. His tribute single to Princess Diana, Candle in the Wind 1997, a rewritten version of his 1974 hit, sold over 33 million copies worldwide, making it the best-selling chart single of all time. In 2021, he became the first solo artist to achieve UK top 10 singles across 6 decades. Elton's accolades are equally remarkable. He is one of only 21 entertainers to achieve an EGOT, having won an Emmy Award, 5 Grammy Awards, 2 Academy Awards, and a Tony Award. Additionally, he has received 2 Golden Globes, a Laurence Olivier Award, and the Kennedy Center Honor. He was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1992 and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1994. As a Fellow of the Ivor Academy, he has been recognized for his contributions to music and charity, receiving a knighthood, Knight Bachelor, in 1998 and being appointed a member of the Order of the Companions of Honor in 2020. What do you think about Elton John's friendship with Princess Diana? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, click on the next video on your screen, you won't want to miss it.